We wanted it to be a moment where everything changes, and the temperature in the film, the temperature in our storytelling, the temperature in the room itself actually physically changes, which is we're going to lose somebody.
We're about to break down the zero-gravity death scene in The Midnight Sky. Our philosophy in visual effects is really to try and help the filmmakers realize these impossible things. That's what makes the job fun.
The minute they get the radar up, the second shower hits. And it's bad. They were never designed to take on that kind of a meteor shower. It starts with a drop of blood in the helmet. We bring her into the decompression chamber, which takes a minute. Her helmet begins to fill up with droplets of blood.
You start off thinking, oh, it's fine, it's just a little cut, and then you realize that they're not going to be able to control it.
And we lift off her helmet. Then there's an explosion of balls and droplets of blood that fill the chamber. If I'm doing a normal scene, a scene in a room with two people talking, I see in my head how this scene will play out. I've cut it already in my head. I know exactly how it's going to work.
Yeah, we got it. You got it. Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you.
Very different when you're working on a piece where you're only looking at 10% of what the shot's going to be.
It was the most difficult sequence in the film from an overall visual effects technical standpoint, and just the sheer amount of work, of craft from our team.
For this scene in particular, we did it in two different sort of sections. So the blood scene itself, we shot in a day, which is fast.
And the only 3 shots that George was absolutely adamant were helmet coming off. There had to be a pressure equalization, and the blood had to come out of the helmet.
We watched a lot of mercury float in the air in space, on space station stuff, to get an idea of what it would look and feel like.
We kept playing with ideas of just how the shape would exist. Are they just spheres, which tended to be the way liquid coalesces in 0G as just a sphere, maybe it ripples or warps. How they moved and the speed they moved was all very important to George.
Interestingly, I would say just look around in different directions, and wherever you look, we'll put the blood, because that's sort of, a lot easier than trying to have them look at a light and follow it around.
What we very quickly realized was this was the visual effect that everybody really cared about, because it was very poetic.
And the poetry of the blood couldn't be gruesome, had to be picturesque. It was a beautiful ballet. It was as horrific as it was seeing someone die. There was beauty in it. There was nothing gory. This wasn't an alien scene. This wasn't a bloodfest.
The room filled up with blood as we pulled out, and one drop of blood is sort of pushing us out. And we come out of that and onto Sanchez standing over her body.
There's also sort of silent storytelling, because I think you can watch it without any audio.
Planning the spacewalk was essential. We used a virtual camera system, which involved Martin Roux, our DOP, where he could take an iPad and physically block out shots in a virtual space. We taped out where the spaceship was in tape and the scale. Another piece of technology we utilised was a proprietary system from ILM called Anima. It captures a performance rather than just a still frame. And so very early on, we worked out which shots potentially could be Anima performances as opposed to real performances on wires.
I think with the digital spacesuits it works well, because you've got control of the body, and so you can give a sympathetic animation performance. One of the amazing things about doing any space movie is that there's all this fantastic reference shot by the team on the International Space Station.
So we did a lot of digital glass work. The glass itself caused such reflection issues from the lighting. Oftentimes we would replace the legs of the people who were floating digitally, because there's a float to it that is much easier to do digitally than it is on a wire.
It's not Transformers, it's not a big action film. It's the fact that visual effects can be a key, integral part of production and just as sensitive as every other department. We didn't bulldoze our way into this. We kept it low-key, and yet we're a huge presence. Thanks for watching. Check out The Midnight Sky on Netflix.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the Netflix Film Club channel to get our latest exclusive videos. Plus, hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.